A true Jamaican Christmas greeting I extend to you. Just come on over, there is room. Jogging, shopping, or just dancing on the beach, or checking out a show. In Jamaica it is fine to go fishing all the time. It's lots more fun than fishing in the snow. In the West Indies, every Christmas is a time for all to smile. There's no winter time, there's just sweet sunshine at Christmas Jamaican style. Lots of green in mid-December, fragrant flowers sweetly bloom. Sunshine Christmas greetings I extend to you. Just come on over, there is room. Make yourself at home this season in Jamaica, where cool breezes blow. Catch the festive spirit sweet, catch the rhythm and the beat, instead of catching a cold out in the snow. In the West Indies, every Christmas is a time for all to smile. There's no winter time, there's just sweet sunshine at Christmas Jamaican style. In the West Indies, every Christmas is a time for all to smile.
Yes, indeed, of course, a pleasant good night to all and sundry on this, of course, no doubt, Tuesday edition of the Corridor Transformation, of course, your host, LENNOX, in the background, of course, tonight again, as we, of course, identify, focus, and isolate or insulate, if you want to call it that, the problem of being in front of the camera. And then, of course, we experience all kind of audio issues. I think we have reached an advanced stage of addressing that. And there are certain requirements that has to be put in place that has a financial, should I say, connotation as well. And so, of course, in the meantime, I will remain, of course, in the background. I'm enjoying myself in the background, rest assured, as I have been doing in front of the camera. But you are the important one. The information must come to you, and therefore I have an obligation, a commitment, a dedication, and a patriotic zeal, a zealousness, and I should say imperative for, of course, for you to get what is required in order to do what? To make certain that when you go to the polls, which is the ultimate objective here, that you do the right thing in your best interests and your children's interests and future generations. Yes, indeed. Let's listen a little piece more of the Christmassy music before, of course, we get into the meat of the subject. What is the meat of the subject? What we can do on our own volition, what we expect in a post-Prowley. I say post-Prowley. Well, yes, he exhibits, of course, a Prowley behavior, a total predator, so a Prowley behavior, but we're talking about a post-Rowley, post-PNM administration, an organization that has morphed into, of course, a criminal enterprise. But let's in the meantime, of course, enjoy with some soothingness Titi's Parang Soca or Pure Parang, whichever. Enjoy a bit as we, of course, start our program, which, of course, looking at Rowley and his administration, what he's prepared to do, and his evil intent, actions, and no doubt will continue into the future. But of course, we will try to complete it by looking at what can be done and what has been done by people who have taken action in the past.
Police brutality and the use of excessive force. Excessive force that was absolutely not necessary.
Yes, indeed, people. Of course, I started here to let you know that the Rowley administration is prepared to use force. And no matter what he says, as he will, of course, enunciate a little later in this particular video.
But Senator Mark is calling on me to answer for the police. Members of the media, members of the national community, I want to make it abundantly clear. The Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago in this matter and similar matters and police work on a day-to-day basis is not a matter for the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. I have nothing to answer for. As a matter of fact, I wait to hear from the police the answers to a lot of what is being said and a lot of what they have to say about their own conduct. If they break the law, there is a way to deal with that. That's what the courts are there for. And when the court rules, if the government doesn't agree, there's the appeal court there for that.
Police brutality and the use of excessive force. Excessive force that was absolutely not necessary.
Yes, people, what am I showing this video for? What is the objective? What is the purpose? Well, like every other major issue surrounding this man called the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, a most despicable, consummate, pathological, mendacious individual, suffers, of course, from extreme mythomania, meaning that habitual lying. Because you see, we have concluded that everything he says must not only be taken with a pinch or a bucket, but with a truckload of salt. And when he tells you jump, you know that you must stand still. And when he tells you talk, you know you must shut up. And of course, in order to shut him up, we have a duty and responsibility come, of course, next year when the election is called, to permanently silence this miscreant and this, of course, abuser of office of power, authority, and a consummate underminer of our democracy, the rule of law, and the principles, the laudable principles associated with good government and good governance. Having laid that foundation, people, I want to tell you that it is clear, it is pellucid, it is obvious, it is a second nature, it is symptomatic of the Rowley administration to claim that they have nothing to do with a particular matter, in particularly the Prime Minister, who clearly is, and don't get me vexed before I show you more information that will, of course, neutralize any skepticism that Rowley, when he says that he doesn't know, would have been the originator of that which he said that he didn't know, and therefore fully conscious, fully cognizant, and fully demonstrable by, of course, his vicarious, or put another way, his minions and those who are prepared, of course, to accede for 30 pieces of silver, usually, to his heinous, wicked, diabolical, dangerous, and of course anti-democratic, anti-electoral, and of course anti the people of Trinidad and Tobago in terms of their interests. Let us not waste time. Time is too precious. We have an election, of course, to pursue, and Dr. Rowley and his cohorts, his conspirators against the people of Trinidad and Tobago must understand, not only are their days numbered, but they must not stand a modicum of chance to, of course, return to government. In other words, the UNC must get, and I expect that even the Laventils will surprise the PNM and maybe surprise the rest of the country by saying enough is enough. Of course, we are yet to conclude the debt owed to Laventil by the PNM. That is a matter that I am extremely concerned about and must, of course, lay the foundation for, and for all times, let the people know what the reality is in terms of an indebtedness of the PNM to the Laventil community and its constituents and constituencies, and yet still they have not delivered and returned, of course, loyalty, blind loyalty in some instances, with, of course, a pernicious evil and a disrespectful behavior and utterances. Let's go to the lines. A pleasant good night. Welcome.
A pleasant good night to you, Mr. Lennox, and to all the listeners.
Yes, my friend.
And don't forget to share. And to all the listeners who are tuned in, near and far and overseas, please see it in your heart to contribute whatever small to the Shorter Baptist Toy Drive.
Thank you very much
Mr.
for that
Lennox.
for that endorsement of that very laudable initiative. But go ahead.
Okay, no problem. It's just, as I told you, when I start nice with you, I will be rugged and blatant with you. So
I hear
now
you.
we are just 9 more months. 9 more months, Mr. Lennox.
Yes.
So, Mr. Lennox, I would like to tie in 2 things on what you are showing and talking about on the screen. Now, last 9 years, Fitzgerald Hines had served the constituency of where he come from.
Yes, Laventille West. And at one time he started his political, should I say, disgrace in Laventille East movement.
Yes, in Mova side, he shot the guns, yeah.
Yeah.
So, now I just want to ask the listeners to listen carefully to this. The PNM party is in power. The PNM representative of Fitzgerald Hines ruled for the last 9 years. And what better life Fitzgerald Hines bring to the people he represents, and what upliftment he gave to them. And the point I'm making is that Keith Rowley is the leader. India is the finance minister. And that is, they say, the home of the PNM, that constituency. And if Keith Rowley and India treat them like that for 9 years, what difference would it make by just moving Hines and leaving Rowley and India there? Would it make any difference? So, to say the debt of gratitude that all the people for supporting them is short in coming and hard in seeing. So now the OWTU have a meeting at the White House on Saturday morning. Now, Mr. Lennox, I feel if we have people who are always talking on different medium, that we want to come out, we want to come out. You think whosoever call it, and we as people just pass by and make we numbers show, would you think it will make sense and it will send a message and that it will build a momentum that people see the camaraderie and people are coming out? So when we have to go to the EBC, and when we at the ground report and corridor transformation call, we will have others who is willing to come. So what I want to ask now, Mr. Ivor Archie, sir, Chief Justice of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, were you really going to sue the government for not getting your pay increase? I would like to ask you that question tonight through this media. And I would like if you could be forthcoming in answering that question. Because for far too long, the leader and the prime minister of this country is being lying and saying untruths to the nation. So the only way to get the truth and the information is from you, sir. Mr. Lennox, have a good night, and I thank you.
Thank you very
In a
much.
while, I'll call back.
Thank you very much, of course, for that intervention. Because Rowley did say that, of course, it gave the impression that the judicial fraternity was so damn upset that they were prepared, of course, to go to court on the matter of increase. I believe it is much more plausible is that they would have expressed a concern, yes, privately, clearly, which of course initiated or engendered Rowley on the first occasion sending back the report of the Salary Review Commission for consideration, or should I say inclusion, of the judiciary. That I could understand. But I think is another embellishment of a pernicious nature, and as part of the exaggerated imagination for always personal aggrandizement and personal, let's say, ascendancy, but always personal. In other words, nobody is impressed with Rowley and his what I consider to be floundering, myopic, convoluted, and meandering arguments that has no basis in reality. Let us face that. He told us that, listen, when he came back from Ghana at one time, that the Bill Gates Foundation had a not insignificant sum of money. Hold on, Miss Arima. Not an insignificant amount of money for Trinidad and Tobago. And then he went on to say that, listen, he had a discussion with the Secretary General of the United Nations. All right. He told us by the end of the day that, of course, he was duped, he was fooled, he was scammed. But no way could he have spoken to the United Nations General Secretary. And that is the problem with this man. He always exaggerates to make his situation look important, or make the situation look important. We'll get back, of course, to whether or not it is believable that he was not involved, of course, in the tear gassing and, of course, the arrest of members of the pushback movement, not members of the pushback movement, but those who participated in the pushback against him and calling for his, of course, removal by saying Rowley must go. A pleasant good night. Welcome, Mr. Rima. Mr. Rima, good night. Mr. Rima, the place of Bilosa. I'm seeing her still on there. I don't know if she's getting some problem on her end. Pleasant good night, Miss Arima. All right, well then we'll have to. All right, she's calling back. Yes, indeed.
Lovely Lloyd.
A pleasant good night, Miss Arima.
Hello?
Yes, I'm hearing you loud and clear.
Okay. What I'm saying is I just get vexed when
Go ahead.
I see that.
Yes.
Because, listen, up to now, no human rights lawyer never come out and tell the people their rights and all of that.
Yeah.
You hear?
Yes. Yes, I'm hearing you loud and clear. You have to load down your device in the background.
Okay.
Good.
I'll call you back.
All right, no problem. She's having a
Yeah.
little challenge there. So, and she loves to be, of course, very pellucid, very articulate, and people must, of course, receive her in that vein. In that vein, yes, indeed. A pleasant good night. Welcome, Ms. Santa Cruz, and therefore our external correspondent. Pleasant good night.
Hello.
Boy, I catch you by surprise, boy. What happened? I was too efficient tonight, or what? On the ball. All right, go ahead.
Lennox,
Yes.
I wasn't expecting it to answer so quick. Lennox.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A tyrant will always find a pretext for his tyranny.
Yes.
Rowley is a tyrant.
Yes, indeed.
Tonight, when I heard Wade Mark on Mikey's program,
Yes.
Lennox is only thieving left, right, and center.
Of course.
Where is the missing money from Clico? All Clico investments. Where is the missing money from the Auditor General's report? And now we are hearing her talking about money missing from the PTSC. Lennox, everywhere you turn is money missing. We heard last night $500 million, right? In
Yes.
cost overrun on that terminal in Tobago.
In Tobago, yes. The A&I Robinson expansion
The
project,
A&R,
yes.
yeah.
Airport.
Yeah. Just the expansion, Lennox.
Yes.
It's running into $1.7 billion, Lennox.
Yes.
Worse than the Taruba Stadium. Lennox, this PNM, the history of the PNM is corruption, nepotism, cronyism, bubble, thieving, from lock joint to the DC scandal, to horses before houses. Lennox, every which way you turn, you're hearing about this PNM corruption, right? Lennox and the lies. Now, I do not believe for a minute that the judiciary was going to sue anybody. I don't believe that.
I too. It's part of his exaggerations. He always does that. I made the point earlier, of course, in recognizing that fact of when he came back and said that Bill Gates Foundation. All right, so you got duped. You said that the Bill Gates had not an insignificant amount of money for Trinidad and Tobago. But when the hell you had communication, if it's a hoax, if it is a deception, how the United Nations General Secretary will communicate you on that? So it never occurred. But that is how he tries to make himself important, and always, of course, turning out to be pie in the sky, and of course, an illusion. Go ahead.
Lennox, he rang the Nasdaq bell, and the thing crashed. The stock exchange crashed. The man is a blight.
And what he didn't tell us is how much he paid for it. Just as how he didn't tell us how much they paid for a call from Trump. But of course, he was in the bathroom. He was in the bathroom, and of course, he just put on his robe, and he got a call. And on the other end, it was, of course, Donald Trump. And that miscreant of inexplicable dimension. But go ahead.
Lennox, he lied. He lied to the United Nations. And that is how he got that doctorate. He lied. Because the Express wrote an article about what Dr. Rowley said, making people feel that Trinidad is a paradise. And all the things he lied and said about what he do for the country. And it was a big lie. We are living in a cesspit. Just as how Stuart Young sat on a foreign news reporter, whatever it was, host,
yes,
and lied.
And so we could supply the whole of Europe with gas, and we can't even supply the just 3 trillion that we need for our own consumption. These miscreants and mendacious, pathological liars. Go ahead.
Lennox, we also heard all the things that he did, what he did with the procurement bill, Lennox. The man butchered the procurement bill for friends, family, and financiers, Lennox. Right? He took out the medical, legal, everything that was meaningful. He tried to do it for CARICOM. But he didn't get through with it. Right? And Rowley coming here to make people feel that he's an angel. He's an angel, Lennox, right? That he's an archangel, and he's sitting on a righteous perch. He's sitting on a picket fence.
And an archdevil, or imp. Yes, a child of the devil, imp.
He's Satan's spawn.
Yes,
the
that's
man
right.
is Satan's spawn.
And of course,
Lennox,
and the righteous scorn.
Yes.
I just playing with words.
Lennox,
yes.
I know. Lennox, I sent you an article.
Go ahead.
Right? Mm-hmm. That was written. I don't know if you get a chance to read it.
Go ahead.
That was in the Express, Sunday Express, where I think they did an interview with him or something. I don't know. That they asked him about the raise in pay. And Rowley went back to talk about Pandey and the desalination plant.
No, I didn't see that at all. But go ahead. I know that you...
gosh, I wish you would have read it.
No, it's all right. I will glean
LENNOX.
from what you have said, and then, of course, I'll do what I consider the confirmation, if you want to call it that. But go ahead.
Right. LENNOX, I know I am not the brightest bulb in the box, but I am not stupid. I want to know, what does one have to do with the other? They ask you about the salary increase, but you talking about Pandey, and he made it look as though it was some connection. That is how devious the man is. That is how devious he is. What does one have to do with the other? And you bring in Wassa, and you bring in Tom, Dick, and Harry, and everybody to try to justify this money. But let me tell you something, LENNOX, everybody talking about, because somebody sent me something from a foreign news, right? A videotape where they're questioning the money, right? They know that Trinidad is financially broke, right? But yet still, the Prime Minister of the country took a $30 million pay hike. 30 million, 30,000, sorry, Leonard. 30,000, from 59,000 to 89,000. LENNOX, the man didn't take a $3,000 raise, The man take $30,000. And you know what? PNMites have no shame whatsoever trying to justify that. Well, I see now they put Karim Marcel to
replace Hines. To replace Hines, yes.
Replaces Hines, but LENNOX, you mark my word here tonight. I keep telling everybody, when I heard Hines say he's not going back up, that day until today I telling people Hines ain't going nowhere. Hines going right back up again. And they feel that Karim Marcel is the next he gonna be the next leader of the PNM, and he will be the next Prime Minister of the country. But I understand, to hear them boast about him.
Go ahead. I'll give my comments on that in a while.
But I heard that Leon's not going back up.
Yeah, I've gotten two different or contradictory stories. On the one hand, he was not present for the screening that was carded, and he was the only nominee. And then I saw another article, I don't know if you have been privy to that as well, where, of course, they identify him as the candidate for Laventille East Movement. So there are two conflicting stories coming out there.
I feel Hines going back there. I feel Hines going back there.
All right.
Because they said, at least they were talking about that on TCNM program today. Okay. He has been in the PNM doghouse for the longest while. So it doesn't look like he's going back up there.
All right.
Right, so I feel Hines going back right there.
I would wait and see, because if he was the only candidate, and Hines is out of Laventille West, there is a vacuum, therefore, in Laventille East. But as I said, there's another article in the Guardian, I believe. One was in the Newsday and one was in the Guardian. The one in the Guardian says that he was the chosen person by the screening committee. But I can't understand if you screen someone that was never present. And then the other article, of course, said in the Newsday that, of course, he was absent, and therefore will not be, of course, putting his.
Well, LENNOX, what did you expect from the PNM newspaper?
Yeah.
What did you expect from the PNM newspaper?
So we wait and see.
Making excuses for the PNM.
Yeah, we wait and see. I'm not going to.
Yeah, we will wait and see.
I'm not taking anything off the table, including, of course, what you just said, the possibility that Hines may be going there. But of course, what I know for sure is that Hines was told not to go back up. Hines was told to leave that alone.
Right.
right? Because of course of the
Right.
presence of Marcel. And what will happen with Marcel? Let me say it while you are here one time. What will happen with Marcel? That he will be exploited for all that it is worth. Rowley will say on our podium, but look, we have a fella from the
Exactly.
Beatum or who emerged, but he doesn't know how Marcel achieved that objective. Is all of us were behind him at one stage of his development in order, of course, to sacrifice and to, of course, complete his degree and now, of course, being a lawyer. I mean, I could tell you something because I have been on the ground inside of the Beatum and observe his development. But more significantly, I want to tell you that it will be almost, if not at all, the route that Maurice Marshall took. Nobody could have been more popular. Nobody could be more respected than him. Not even
Yes.
Marcel. Marcel is not known in the wider Laventille community. He is known in Beatum, but not in the wider
In Beatum.
community. So that, and if that was done, if the way that Marshall met his political demise, if that is any indication, Marcel better hurry up and see that as an opportunity to put it against his resume and get the hell out of that party, because I'm certain he is going to feel the wrath of the PNM that does not care or consider whether or not you come from the Beatum. Worse yet, and as I said, and that series will, of course, take root tonight, well, I started last night, how the PNM owes Laventille, and he being, of course, just another candidate, because he cannot say that he worked for that, because the position
Right.
of Balize House is very simple. Anybody we put there must toe the line, because that is not
Yes.
already Shell. That's not waste time.
Exactly,
That is not
Lennox.
already Shell.
Yes.
So therefore, you have to
Yes.
toe the line. Yeah, you work for that. Now, if he had come out of
Yes.
the PNM and then, of course, joined probably somebody like me and my party, Love, and work for it, then, of course, you will get the respect that is due from all, not just, of course, the party, the PNM, but, of course, the old people are saying, when you meet you in past you. So I'm just making the preliminary observation to make people understand that is no major achievement. Because he is there, it would mean that Beatum will be better served, or indeed the constituency called Laventille West that Beatum is just a small part of. Go ahead.
Lennox, you see, just as how they treat Leons,
Yes.
and they treat Nicole Oliveira,
Right.
they're going to do him the same
Of
thing.
course. And
They're
he's
gonna do
younger,
the same
he's
thing.
younger, less experienced, and so on. And he will, I expect that at some point in time, he will talk out. And of course, that will, of course, seal his political demise as far as the PNM is concerned. But of course, if he gravitates, of course, to the UNC, I think he would have had a better chance of having a more, what I consider to be sustainable career in politics, but not with the PNM.
No, well, I don't think he will gyrate towards the UNC, because remember, he called Kamala Dance, right? And he was put in his place.
Well,
He was put in his place.
yes, but
for calling
I
Kamala
want to
Dance.
tell you that he has emerged from the NAR. I can tell you personally, right? Carson Charles would have been one of his mentors. Of course, I would have visited his home on many occasions, give him motivation, wish him well. Did, of course, a development program for the Beatum, which I'm sure that might be part and parcel of his development plan for Beatum specific to the wider, of course, Laventille area and so on. And it's people like myself who they will call upon, of course, to do projects like these, the interface on the Beatum program, the interface that would have been executed every August. I designed that program. And some of the PNM elements there, they can't doubt it because I still have a copy of the document. Maybe if they only play stupid and try to, of course, deny the fact, I will then, of course, produce it.
Yeah,
but I am not the kind of person who would, of course, blow my own trumpet, etc.
That's right.
The challenge trophy that was, of course, offered by the Prime Minister for the Inter-Beatum community initiative. It's I who draft the letter and encourage them, of course, to seek a meeting with the then Prime Minister Manning in order to have that competition. And mind you, they have invited me and I never went because I know what kind of impact I will have if I only put in my presence there or if they only speak the truth. So I never visited, I never attended any of the prize giving or other initiative because my thing is that once the community benefits, then of course I will be satisfied. But there comes a time when people who deny you, because you know the Bible talks about, of course, the rejected stone that becomes the cornerstone.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So when that time comes, of course, you have to say enough is enough, and therefore, of course, you place on the record, public and otherwise, your position on the matter, not only in Beetham, in Observatory Street and those guys there. We did project for them. We did project for Maloney and all of the posts. That was when, of course, Jack Warner and they were saying, well, listen, we need, of course, to have a program that would, of course, let's say, peacify or put another way, tranquilize the east-west corridor, and therefore people just sought out that they wanted to, of course, to look at, including, of course, wrong here, Nelson Street, etc. We have a special project for Nelson Street as well, which, of course, will be, of course, submitted to in due course to the UNC for their consideration when they would have before they get into office. And when they get into office, we expect it's easy rolling out because you're dealing with people who have years, decades of experience in what has to happen in terms of the transformative mechanisms that are required, material, physical, attitudinal change that are required, so that you generate the paradigm shift that says that the place can now be prepared or can now accept true development in a peaceful fashion. That is what we are talking about. I know that you are a bit surprised as to what I'm saying here.
Lennox, I am shocked because I am saying here, and as you rightly said, the stone that the builder reject will be the head cornerstone. Right? It's the same thing McCandle Dagger tried to help these people, and Lennox, look at how they treat them. Look at how they treat the man. And Lennox, the thing about it, they never eat back knowledge. They never eat back knowledge what you did for them. They never acknowledge it. They always come here and try to put you down, Lennox, as though you never did anything for anybody, right? And you just
I don't think that is totally true. The vast majority of them are silent, right? But of course, those that are PNM oriented,
Lennox, silence
is
consent.
Not an option. I hear you. All right. From that perspective, I agree with you.
Not enough.
Caller, just hold on. I have another caller on the other line. All right. Go ahead. Yes,
Lennox. No, being neutral and silent.
Hold on.
Is not an option.
Caller, yes.
Being neutral and silent.
Hold on, caller. Hold on. We have another caller on the other line. All right. Go ahead, Miss Santa Cruz.
That is not an option, Lennox. That's like standing up and watching abuse taking place, and you're not saying or doing anything about it. You understand? But Lennox, let me tell you something, Something has to happen in this country. And today, as I was talking to Mikey on his program, we are all anxious, and I told you so last night. We are all anxious to hear what is Keith Rowley going to come with, to campaign with. What is he going to bring to the nation? Look, I have done this for you.
Marcel will be part of that pernicious should I say collapse propaganda machinery. But we are prepared for that. I just give you some hints. Just in case, of course, it turns nasty, Lennox. We need, of course, to put things in perspective, because people like myself will not stop there and have anybody make claims that they are not entitled to, so as to promote the PNM. I have a serious problem
Lennox,
with
so
that.
You painted a picture, and after you will frame it. Lennox, you take care and you have a good night.
Thank you very much, of course, for that. And I'll say something after this caller that will put things in perspective as well. A pleasant good night. Welcome.
No problem.
Welcome, caller. Yes.
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead, caller. Sorry about that. Yes.
Okay. Hello. Good night.
Good night.
I am listening to this program. I am listening to each and every program.
Yes.
And I hear the people highly talking about this young fella. I almost see him many times too on TV that I'm going for Laventille West.
Uh-huh.
His character and what, and he's a good person and good character and everything. I agree with that. But people doesn't know that Penny Beckles was a very good woman, right?
Right.
And Manning, they put out all them PNM, we have that PNM teaching party. He did put out all of them. He didn't want to say that he said it overspend. But Penny Beckles is a good woman. She was in it too.
Uh-huh.
Right? So when one dog has scabies, and they go to the district, all the dogs have scabies. And if you don't use Technosol soap today, you get scabies too. What would happen when that young fella go in there?
Go ahead. Yes.
You don't get just like them.
Right.
A person like he shouldn't look to go in party like that. He could have go with it. He didn't have to go in that kind of mess.
Yeah.
I say to myself, if he know he's so good, he thinks so good, you see how this country is, and he see the mess there, what he going for?
Yeah.
I'm going to thank you. Gonna keep up the good work.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yes. People will have their perspective, as I said, but I want to share with you, of course, the listenership, the viewership, etc., particular experience, and that may, well, too, that will, of course, indicate why people who would have, of course, done exceptionally well in the background, in the context of Laventille, would have preferred to stay in the background because of the reality, the socio-economic and psycho-cultural dynamics, I like to say, of that area. Now, one time, being, of course, inexperienced but very enthusiastic about, of course, the transformation of that community, Laventille, from which I am derived, let me put it that way. I was on a radio program one time, and I said to the population that the Laventille community, because of the stigmatization that it would have had, I think I better add another example so you'll have an appreciation. So from time to time, I will make reference to these anecdotal experiences in order to, of course, bring across the point very clearly, because some people in their various places in the society may not comprehend. I could give you more than three, but I'll just stick with three. The first is that on this radio program, I said that I advise people in Laventille, having, of course, on an annual basis 300 of these youths who are either engaged or have the potential to engage in crime and criminality. And we provided, of course, for them scholarships to get to the Mobile Laventille Improvement Organization Trade School. Of course, courtesy Fernandez. Fernandez gave us a huge warehouse on the Eastern Main Road, and there is where we were for quite a long time, nearly 2 decades. But the point I am making, I advise people to say that their address is not of Laventille, and that would include, of course, Beetham, etc. And I was castigated and I was taken aback at the same time as to why people will castigate me, and of course claiming that I am encouraging the people not to speak the truth. I am encouraging young people to be dishonest. And after that program, I was at pains to, of course, reconcile as to why they didn't see my perspective. Because I said in no uncertain terms that if they did not say where their true address is, the likelihood being qualified as everybody else, they would have gotten through like everybody else. And if their address is known to the prospective employer, they will not get the job. And the objective is to do what? To get the job. That was my argument, and I was amazed to know that people saw that as encouraging people to, of course, be dishonest. And then I thought technically, yes, but in all practicality, no. So at the end of the day, I focus on the practicality side. But let's go to the lines before, of course, I continue with the other two examples. A pleasant good night. Welcome.
Good night, Lennox.
It's a good night.
Lennox, I
Yes.
see the news start tonight with the representations of PNM candidates in different various areas,
Yes.
right? That is the breaking news, Lennox, breaking news for Trinidad. And yet, the opposition leader come out last night, talk about $431 million in overrun in the airport in Tobago, and that in the middle or back at the end of the newscast.
A pleasant good night. Just hold on, caller. Yes. Go ahead. Yes. Go ahead, my friend. Yeah. But let me ask you something. In that lineup, is Leon's there? Leon's there because we have some conflicting information as to whether or not he was
saying
good.
take a back seat. You have some family seats.
All right. Okay. So therefore, it means that the final candidate.
Not what should be the bread and butter issue in this country.
No, I take your point. But as you raise it from that perspective, I thought I should ask you that. But go ahead. Make the point.
Yes, they're putting faces in places that let me tell you something, the faces ain't going to change your situation in the grocery, the crime situation, or the economy.
That's right.
Those things are minuscule.
Yeah.
That is what the PNM is about. They put in faces for people to go vote. All
Camouflagery
and get 5 million the PNM, it will be end of
and optics, camouflage, optics, and part and parcel of the cadre of propaganda, what I consider to be utilities.
You see, 8 people then vote on issues and policies in this country, and they vote on faces and put back in this PNM. It's good for everybody who getting what they get. PNM and UNC supporters. They're going to be good for everybody who getting what they had to get. Because at the end of the day, that is what the people want. And what we get, we go take. Right? Now, we'll come back later.
Thank you very much. Because to the contrary, I have supreme confidence in the people that at the end of the day, no tiger, no animal will be so abused and not launched back. And it means, therefore, always act in their best interest. Why? Because to move as a human being, as a plant, you move to eat as well as to avoid danger. And Rahuli and they are consummate and absolute danger. Of course, we have seen what has transpired in Tobago. We have seen what has transpired in Trinidad in the local government. Better than we may wish that it should have been a better performance on the part of the opposition. But I take it there that with the confidence that the PNM could never see government again in this country on a national scale. Let's go to the line. A pleasant good night. Welcome.
Lennox.
Yes, good night.
Right. I have a suggestion that Kareem Marshall will be more effective if he joins the UNC. But why should he? Tell me why should he? When the UNC have people like Anil and David Naked, David Lee, Moniral, who are before the courts on corruption-related charges. Why should he join them? To become corrupt like them?
No. I want to tell you that Anand Ramlogan and Ramdeen were also before the court. And what transpired there? You know? I say Anand Ram. Listen carefully. Anand Ramlogan. Listen carefully. Listen. Anand Ramlogan and Ramdeen were also before the court, and maybe to take your argument, then one would have said that why would somebody join the UNC when these people are before the court? But what transpired?
You hear what I'm saying?
No. What transpired? I ask you.
Okay.
Well, let me tell you, it was a concoction. It was a concoction of the PNM.
Yes,
all right, a concoction of the PNM. That's what that was. All right, so. Let's done that because he can't answer. That's a fellow who said that Desperados, the best place for Desperados is on Nelson Street. So I really don't want to talk to a fellow like that. All right. So people, of course, as I said, I was accused of being encouraging people to be dishonest, not pragmatic as we know it to be. There's another incident that I want to share with you based on my on my experience, you see that last caller, they know all them things that I'm telling you now. But it's going to be revelation after revelation after revelation. He started by, of course, not believing that we are operating all right now on George Street, and that Lennox Smith can't buy a building on George Street or in Tong. That is how they see themselves and see in others that which is in them. But there are people who are much more ambitious and nationalistic, and of course care about their community in real terms. Professor, good night. Welcome.
Lennox, good night.
Hold on. Hold on, this caller on my handset. I know you can't see it, but you're on the handset. This one here. So hold on and let me talk to the one on the other. All right, okay, all right. I'll ask the other one to hold on. Go ahead, caller. Go ahead.
Pleasant good night, Mr. Lennox.
No, not you who calling last. All right. Yeah, go ahead, my friend. Sorry about that, because you don't have the benefit of the camera, so you really can't see what is happening. But go ahead. Go ahead, caller. Go ahead. Yeah. Yes. You go ahead. Yes.
Mr. Lennox, let that caller all the tail. I say that.
Yes.
Let that caller who called just now,
yes.
all the tail.
Yeah.
It's 581 murders. It's babies dead in the NICU. It's petrol train closed down. Let that caller all the tail. Under Kamala Prasad Bisesa, we see a better light under that administration. The country was running better. We had better ideas. The youth was being put to work. They get 14%. We negotiate 200 and something negotiation for the union and them who drag my leader.
Yes.
And we give them 40%. They're taking 4 cents on a dollar. Let her call all the tail. I say that.
Yeah. And he is resisting good advice to Marcel from a fellow who, of course, is totally committed to the Laventille cause. Totally committed to Laventille. Over the years, my track record is unblemished and unmatched. It's just that I don't boast, but the time will come when people will know, and they have to. But go ahead.
And Mr. Lennox, Adrian Leons, as did I say, they say he's a hard-working junior minister. Holding the minister for the Laventille East constituency with the PNM never lost. He's a junior minister. Had anything changed in Mova? Laventille East Mova? No. So the jumping up and the jump up last night for Kareem Marcel. I mean, he's a brilliant guy based on where I hear.
Yeah, but he's a brilliant guy. That is expected too, because he's from the community. But of course, unfortunately, it's a suicidal mission that he's on.
That's so
I mean, I would love to say it differently, and if I knew it was different, I certainly will say it. But clearly, if when you compare what Maurice Marshall went through, and nobody could be as famous, as significant, as impacting like Maurice Marshall. He is just a shadow of that, because he is now, of course, trying to wet his feet, so to speak. So he's a total neophyte. I mean, it is very difficult. And as I said, whilst he may be, of course, significant, like I was at one time in Passy Street and environs. I was the chairman of the village council, and of course he was the chairman of the village council, etc. in Beetham, and therefore they will know him. But in terms of other parts of the constituency, then that's a different challenge altogether. And therefore I eventually, of course, became well known across the Laventille, let's say, geographic space, largely because of what I have done nationally, and of course that has had international recognition, etc., etc. But we will come to that when we are focusing on Laventille per se. Go ahead.
Before I go, Mr. Lennox.
Yes.
If, let me say, there was an office while he in office, these people in Laventille West would be upset with him, just as how they upset with failed Gerald Swine.
Yeah.
So he are not going to change anything. He have to toe the line.
Of course.
He have to do exactly
He's just a
as
neophyte.
they
He's just
say.
a pawn in
And if they ain't do nothing for Laventille, if they do nothing for Lavanti, then he could come and change anything under that devil as a leader. So before I'm going now, Mr. Lennox. I just want to tell that
of course,
again.
it is impossible for them. It's impossible for them to get into government.
Program, all your tail.
I hear you, my friend. I hear you.
And I go on, Mr. Lennox.
Yes, I want this to end by saying, of course, it's impossible for them to get into government. Talk about the PNM, but it's impossible for them to get into government. But if they should, I mean, he will pay. He can make no impact and no difference. He has to prove me. The situation in total has to prove me wrong. And experience, of course, is the best teacher. You don't do the same thing over and over and expect a different result. You have to be a madman or a total backside. A pleasant good night. Welcome, of course, to the corridor.
Yeah, Lennox, I just want to say, you see Paul has spin on him, you must shut them down one time, you know. All over where he talking, you know, they're shutting he down one time, you know.
well, no, you see, I don't mind a fella who, of course, not just making sense, because he's making sense from the point of view that you're hearing what he's saying. So from that perspective, making sense. But the nonsense that he speaks, you know, is a impediment, of course, to tolerating such a incoherent disposition of the, and of course, abuse, or should I say, distortion of the facts. But go ahead.
But he I don't know, God wastes our brain there, you know.
And he believes that he has a point, you know. Yeah, the point he come up with tonight, why must Marcel, of course, join the UNC when certain people are before the court? So I asked him the question as an answer. Well, of course, you don't want it bigger than that. Anand Ram Logan and Ramdeen, you don't want it bigger than that. I mean, that's the biggest you could get. Well, also before the court, what transpired? You know, he playing here, you know. Well, I had to tell him it was a concoction of the PNM, and therefore, logically, those persons who are before the court now, you could naturally draw your own conclusion that too are concoctions of the PNM. Go ahead, my friend.
And he talking like he's something, but Rowley will spit on you.
Of course.
Will drive over you.
Of course.
He could talk that. Rowley will drive over you. If Fitzgerald lines all of them will drive. They might give him a little $20 sometime. But and that if he gets something from them.
And he will be grateful for that. Having been considered. I remember no, I could say that now because we have all holes bar. And I could say that now. That Julia Davy and myself are very good friends. Very, very good friends. Only if she discloses certain things, I will respond. But just to say, one time we were on Charlotte Street and say, listen, let me make a call. Bram, she make a call and she put the phone on speaker. Bram, you know who answered? Rowley. Rowley answered. So she say, you see, but catching she tail to get a contract or two. That is irrelevant. Rowley answering the phone is irrelevant. Is what you can deliver to the people and of course to yourself if first and foremost depending on your perspective. You're not like me who would of course give my last dollar and know that another dollar is in the making, so I could afford to give away that. But that is the in other words, I'm trying to agree with you that he get a 2 cents and then of course say, well, you know, they give me a 2 cents and he gone with that and will talk that level of hogwash. Inaccurate and unarticulate. Go ahead.
I old talk and pavement talk he hearing from by Balize house while he directing Carter Park.
Yeah.
You understand? And he pick up that. And the next thing, he talking about you say you are UNC. We are mass we name young, but we are one of Hita join you. We are real lawyers on the UNC side. We don't know OJT lawyers.
No, well, we would not have him there for that. It would have been in his best interest to anchor himself with the UNC, and he would have done some work, and as a consequence, change the dynamic, which of course over the years has been pernicious to Trinidad, to Trinidad and Tobago in general, and to specific areas such as Beetham. I can see he preventing the police from, of course, stopping them fellas, for example, from having their fun. When, of course, many of them would have been well known to the police. He himself might find himself in all kinds of questions to answer as a consequence. And I will not be surprised if eventually he face reality and move out of there. It takes a fella like me. It takes a fella like me to stay there. Yeah.
When you see watermelon on fire and he getting a little dollars and thing, he gone from there. He don't want to see about it. He don't want to hear about it.
As so many have done. I was a formal teacher. Still is, in my own right. I have a master's degree in criminology. I have a degree in business management, and I have, of course, a scientific diploma from the Institute of Applied Science, which, of course, most police officers gravitate for, with respect to scientific, of course, investigation, etc. But I deliberately took a decision to remain in the Laventille area and do what I can from a human development perspective, in spite of my lecturing at the American University in Washington, and of course making arrangements to have students from there visit Laventille, and so on, a number of other international things that I would have done that we will get to find out, but not blowing my own trumpet, but certainly, of course, letting people know what is possible, and more importantly, to let the incoming administration, the UNC administration, understand that people like us must now, of course, take charge in order to generate the transformation that is necessary for Trinidad and Tobago to strive economically, socially, and otherwise. After all, one of the major achievements must be to, of course, quell that violence that is associated with the Laventille area, simply because it is the only place, it's the only community that is mentioned in the advisories against Trinidad and Tobago, so that if you are an investor or a tourist planning to come to Trinidad, the advisories by their government, whether it's the United States, Canada, the United Kingdom, Italy, France, Germany, will tell them, don't go to Trinidad. But if you do not go to Nelson Street and Belmont and Wrong the Savannah. And these days they're talking about St. Augustine as well. That is how bad we are. That is why it is no gainsaying or indeed. That is why we cannot get, of course, international investors. Go ahead. Yeah.
Hal Greaves that time, this fella from up in the back there, Hal Greaves in it.
Who's that?
Comedian and an actor. Hal Greaves or some kind of thing in him.
Hal Greaves?
Hal Greaves, I think he was some actor and comedian.
Yeah. I remember. He has died now. Yes, he went. He went. But you see, many of them have come, and they dare where angels fear. And before, of course, they communicate with people who know. I remember when, of course, for example, that $1 million was given to the late professor from the university for, of course, looking at the question of where violence come from and how it has evolved in a community such as Laventille and so on in the nation. And then I'll get the name in a while. Anyhow, he had carried a meeting with us in the Desperados facility there on the hill. And that day, that same day, Desperados was moving out of the hill, and people were, of course, loading up the pans, and they will go tracking down the hill to go. I think the first place they started off in terms of the temporary accommodation would have been on Frederick Street. And guess what? A murder took place there. And when that murder took place, that same day, the man called and canceled the meeting that he was to have with us. So here it is, you have a man who the government gave, the Kamala Prasad Bisesa administration, I want to say, gave $1 million to, of course, look at where crime and so on. I'm going to get the book for you, because that will be part and parcel of my efforts to show what is possible and how the transformation can take place. But anyhow, he wants to come to meet us to hear from the people who live among those who are either engaged or have the potential to engage, or where the most violent gangs exist. And when he heard that, he didn't keep his appointment. First he was fearful. So you do not give people like that. The point I'm making, you do not give people like that, especially when you have people with the capacity. And when I disclose the data and all of the documentation, over 1,000 pages that I gave to Manning, it's only Manning who was very receptive to it, but I didn't give it to Kamala because of the short stint. But certainly, we had people like the then Minister of National Security, Martin Joseph, who Manning instructed to, of course, communicate with me. And then, of course, I'm going to tell you a little more, and a beautiful relationship developed. But unfortunately, by 2009, he was out of office. Yeah, but go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
That same activist, he said the whole time the country had to deal with Lavante and things because they sparta the country and people don't say. So I just want to know, I mean, you from up there, so them people up there, you shouldn't think like that, you should think that you, Lavante is part of the country, and what you have to do is do something to make the country look good. Not everything to just be about Lavante. I know it kind of hard for your ears to hear. But
no, it is not. You are right from another community perspective. But if Laventille is known by the national community to be a place where you fear nowhere else. And let me tell you, at the same time, we gave the country its national culture, steel band and calypso. So therefore, there's potential. Nowhere else in the country, the advisories, the Americans, the Canadians, and so on, mentioned in the advisories, but parts of Laventille, you know. So therefore, you must know, your common sense will tell you as a policymaker, as a government, that you must pay special attention to that place and utilize the positive resources, human and otherwise, that are there, that are development. But what is happening with the PNM? A fellow like Rowley will never talk to me, even though, of course, I call him a rapist and a pedophile every day. Now, if I was he, I would have called a fellow like Smith, and I'd call Archbishop Burke, not, of course, Mr. Porter Spain. He cannot demonstrate what he has done to improve the life of anybody, except, of course, to talk the hogwash that he speaks. But the fact of the matter is that there are people, Penny, what's her name? Penny, we fondly call her Penny, who of course watch young people malingering all around Kentucky and develop a home for the displaced children, etc. That is the kind of people you want. But no, because we are fiercely independent and we will tell Rowley in the face that he's a dog or he's a rapist or a pedophile. And of course, there are those minions who looking and drooling for a piece of the pie and want to get, of course, the attention of Rowley, and they will say Lennox is this and Burke is this and that one is that. When in fact, these are the people who, let me just finish here. These are the people who, without the support of the government, whether it be PNM and otherwise, have created interventions, of course, that save somebody. And let me tell you this finally, that if it wasn't for people like us making an intervention as we have, imagine the problem is bad now. It's extremely bad now. Imagine how worse it would have been if we did not make those interventions and save so many youths. Go ahead, my friend. Complete. Yeah.
But the thing is, even though they might tell Rowley thing, I mean, I don't know if you, but still the communities go back and vote for PNM again. So
yeah. Well, that's a different matter that we will just address differently. Yeah. All right, my friend. Sorry about that, caller, but it's passion in here, and of course, it is a subject that is dear, very, very dear to my heart. Go ahead, caller. Caller, go ahead. Who was holding all the time?
Yes, Lennox, I challenge you.
Go ahead.
You see all them so-called qualifications they have?
Yeah.
I challenge you to produce that for your callers to see.
Well, I am going to do so. I am going to do so. But I tell you, I prove to you that Rowley was a NJAC. I proved here last night that Rowley was. Let me go and prove to you again that Rowley was an NJAC. And in terms of the qualification, all right. So you don't know. You don't know that I used to teach, right? You don't know that. Yeah, you don't know. I know that you used to work on the wharf. And I know about, of course, your larcenous character. I know that you're trying to blame your wife for, of course, the microwave that you stole, and tell somebody else, of course, that is not you. So we know all of that of you. But you are consummate backside, because if you tell me that it is good, is the best thing for desperados to be on Nelson Street, that I know you are both an ass and a half. Yes, my friend. Okay, later. Yeah. Yes, people, sorry about that, but sometimes you have to be like that in order to, of course, put some sense into this fella's head. I have no difficulty in doing that. In fact, I have one on the system now in preparation for that exact thing. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to remove that particular picture and, of course, disclose for you, because he wants me to show my qualification. I don't think I have to show a qualification that I am a teacher. I doubt he saw that's stupid. When he could go, of course, to Piccadilly where I taught, he could go to La Perita where I taught, and of course the other place is in Mount Lambert where I taught before. Plus, of course, I created the Mobile Lavatil Improvement Organization Trade School, of which I was, in terms of its operation, the principal, and for all intents and purposes still is. President, good night. Welcome.
Yes, good night, Mr. Lennox.
Go ahead, my
night
friend.
To everyone on the line.
Yes.
Good night to everybody who want to chat to him. Trinidad Tobago, good night.
Yes.
Mr. Lennox, listen now. That fella who know call you. He have a Down syndrome issue.
Yeah. Well, it would seem so, you know? but to me, it is of course, as I like to say it is comic relief. But he raises points that will make me realize that there are persons who like him, if there are at all, who would want to say, not that he wouldn't ask for the qualification of Rowley, you know. He would ask for things, even though he didn't see it, but he wanted to see mine. That is the level of madness that we have with these guys. Rowley could tell you that he's a doctor. We could tell you, other persons could say that they did not get their O-level subjects like Hines, but of course he is a lawyer, etc., etc. And of course he practiced in law, so one would expect that he had to be a lawyer because the system accepts him. So if I am teaching at Piccadilly Government School and other educational institutions, and you will have to accept, because I am practicing the art of teaching, that I am in fact a teacher, being paid, that is the level. Yes. But because they're so stupid, and they're so biased, and they are in disbelief that people who they oppose, if I was rooting for the PNM, he never quiver, he never questioned anything. That is the level of stupidity of these fellas. But I'm going to show him tonight, of course, my diploma in criminology. Go ahead.
Mr. Alexis, now, when I heard that fella speaking there just now, I was wondering if he's mentally dysfunctional, because I listened to this guy speaking, and it's like, wait, I'm really going on with this guy. He sounds so unstable, and hardly form a proper sense speaking.
At times, it is annoying, and your tolerance level sometimes, overtakes you, and you then, of course, act in a manner that you would prefer not to. But it is good for people like that, because a person who does not know and does not know he does not know will display behavior like that. Worse yet, for a person who does not know but knows that he does not know, that person is rehabilitated. Right? Rehabilitated. Yes. All right. Go ahead. Any other comment you want to make?
Yeah. Well, after listening to Mrs. Bisasa last night, and seeing this that kind of scandalous behavior from these bunch of swindlers we have in our government, it's really appalling, Mr. Lennox.
Yes.
Today I was traveling in a taxi, right, from Mova, because originally I'm from Mova, right? So the guy who picked me up now, he started to complain about the roads, how the roads are them so bad and thing. So I said, well, you had to ask the government who's in charge of them, responsible for all these things. Not knowing the man is some big PNM man, Mr. Lennox. So the man we started talk politics now.
Right.
So I said, well, but we always a old scam. I said, this government is a wicked, evil government. You know?
Yes.
So he asked me, what Kamala ever do? I said, hey, me, what Kamala ever do? I said, she built 106 schools to start with. Let me start from there. You know the man to know to ask me, where the schools are? I said, oh,
that's Rowley talking there. That's Rowley, invade their logic and common sense, yes.
At the end of the conversation, you want to tell me I reach my destination, you want to know and tell me size and racist.
That is the problem. That is the problem. And they play that tape today is weak and unadulterated, not the reality of the circumstance, but because they don't want the Indian in some symbol, some amorphous called the Indian.
I was shocked when the man tell me that, Mr. Lennox. I said, I'm a racist. I said, how I became a racist? I said, that's when the truth become not the truth. You understand? I said, anyway, have a blessing, my brother. And I leave and I just
they will do that, and they will attack personality and, of course, your character and all that. Listen to what he came up with today. Why would you want Marcel to join there when so and so and so and so? That is not the issue. The issue is that the mothers that are now on the highways exposing themselves to death and have their children. Today I was in Couva, and when you come up the highway, I stopped in the traffic because I had to wait on the traffic light and the traffic is there, and I consider her a toddler. She couldn't be more than, if she's 5 years, it's plenty, right? Or 6 for the most. And has this placard saying, "Help me, we need help," etc.
Yes, I've seen that. It's seen that all over the country now.
And that is a recent phenomenon, because Mr. Porter Spain will know that never used to happen before. Yes, people used to hustle the little nuts and thing on the highway and so on. But women asking for milk and asking for groceries and so on the highway, risking, of course, their lives, and we only take away milk grant and groceries that would have been let's say helter skelter all over the place, given to all who want it, including food card. And Rowley minister, her biggest achievement, Cockburn. I don't know why they like this cock talk. You have Cockburn and you have Donald Cox. All of them have some cock talk. But the point is,
Donald Cox.
Yeah, but she was glad that she took away 11,000 food cards. Rowley was boasting that anybody want a food card in Tobago, they would have given, relegating to the food card as if it is nothing. But look what the alternative is. That you have these children being used as pawns to try to solicit money on the highway and the byway of this country. And anybody with a conscience will sit there and watch that and defend these indefensible, what I consider to be ne'er-do-wells and sick people. Come on. You have to be blasting crazy.
One more thing, Mr. Lennox.
Go ahead.
One more thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm looking at this thing I saw on the TV tonight on the news, where I think it's Port Spain West, where this youth man, I think he's a lawyer or something, and he's going for PN, and everybody praising this guy.
Yeah.
No, nothing is wrong with that. That is good. You educate yourself, you advance yourself in life and things like that. Fine, no problem. But what I'm looking at is this: you have a devil who run in the country, and you're gonna line yourself up with the devil. You understand? How does that make sense? You understand? Come on, man. Oh gosh, the country in a mess. The man mash up the place upside down. You don't even if you're going forward or backward of this evil government, right? And people praising this and have this as if this is something great and like it come from heaven above. Something wrong with Trinidad and Tobago, Something really, really wrong with this country,
Nothing wrong with them.
Wow.
Nothing wrong with them. Is just a person who has 20 vision and refuse to utilize his God-given sight will always end up in destruction, and of course that is part of the darkness that they have accepted as part of their life and faith. Yeah. So I am not But it is salvageable. I am very optimistic. It is salvageable. The people will eventually, of course, accept the reality. It has nothing to do with race, because that is what Rowley and they capitalize upon. And these people, so long as they exist, Rowley and they will exist only to exploit them. And they live, Rowley and they, that is, and who they prefer and rather live ham, jam, and everything else. And of course, continue, of course, to leave these people in wallow and total and absolute destitutism. That's the reality.
You know what's sad about this, Mr. Lennox? You know what's very sad about this?
Yeah.
In the midst of all this craziness and madness, people celebrating like if PNM celebrating like if they win elections, you know. I was watching that on the TV and I said,
that is part of their. Listen, don't be perturbed. That's part of their foray. Let me give you one or two examples. They thought they would have won, of course, Tobago, right? They thought that they would have won the local government elections just passed, and that they would, of course, generated the euphoria among themselves. It's among themselves. Why the population stares and, of course, grinch in awe that they have done what they have done to the people and still. And let me show you this, just in case, that in spite of Dr. Rowley's invention of those fake emails, and of course his exaggeration with respect, of course, and a storm in a teacup scenario as far as the Rishmi affair is concerned and Section 34. And even though, of course, the Kamala Prasad Bisesa moved from 27 seats, when time comes for the people to decide, they are so skeptical about the PNM that Rowley only got 23 seats. 23 seats.
Yeah.
And in 2020, when of course he pulled, of course, the monkey and the banana scenario to, of course, hoodwink and blind the people. But Roger ain't talking that kind of talk again. Roger had cause to be optimistic in 2020 because they was telling him, nah, hold on, man, it's a complex negotiation. All they go get the oil refinery. Now we know that Rowley is like assent. They are immutable. They cannot change. Right? So he not taking chances. So he organizing all kind of matches now against the PNM. How the hell Rowley and them could, that alone, how the hell they could withstand that onslaught when come the next election, in spite of the small parties that may emerge from time to time. People would know that the UNC is the alternative. Full stop. Kamala Prasad Bisesa will become the next Prime Minister of this country.
Next Prime Minister,
yes. Because, of course, in 2020, in spite of the attempt to show that they're big, bad, and broad, and that they are authoritative, they did not win, of course, the popular vote, nor, and in addition to which, their numbers were further reduced to 22, from 23 to 22. So, and of course, in Tobago, you had, of course, about 7, 8, 9, but of course, it turned out to be, in the 6-6 scenario, ended up, of course, 14-1. They're lucky they get one. So I am not surprised. And then, of course, they're big, of course, poach. That is to say, gypsy, in, of course, the seat of Maruga Tableland. A rookie, a neophyte, and now wet behind the ears. What's
Benjamin lady?
Yeah. She beat him. That didn't assist them. So I don't expect Marcel to assist them, particularly in a constituency that they know is not so already shell. But they may well get a surprise as well, even in Laventille. All right?
No, there's always possibilities.
Yeah. All right, my friend. So, anyway, sorry for taking over the talk tonight. Sorry for taking over the talk, but those are topics that I feel passionate about.
That's okay. I understand.
And would like to express, of course, my own views on these matters. All right? Thanks very much. Yes.
Okay, yes. God bless.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.
Yes, indeed, of course. We continue, of course, to take your calls. Sorry about that if I might have gone overboard a bit in terms of the emotions, but these are conversations that I revel. There's no one in Trinidad and Tobago could beat that level of edification that you would have gotten on the question of Laventille. I mean, those fellas who are making what I consider to be pessimistic and and illusionary and wishful thinking thoughts. They can't compete with a fella like me when I am walking the streets. Let me tell you all this stuff. When I walk in the streets, Heinz has tried that on me. And you know what? When I walk in the street and he's on the same side, he just go on the next side. You know why? Because I was go up in the ears and tell him how he mother make him. Yeah, so he doesn't want he doesn't want to hear that. Yeah, because you could be watching around and say but people watching us. But no, I know that for it to be defamation, you have to have a third party listening. So he lucky the country wasn't speaking Spanish alone, and me and he alone could have speak English. I'll tell him it loud because I know the Spanish people would not have been able to interpret how your mother make you interpretation. But let's go ahead, my friend. A pleasant good night to welcome.
Hello.
Yeah, go ahead, my friend. Yeah.
Good night to you again. One for the road, Lennox.
Yes,
one
go ahead.
For the road.
Yes.
Lennox, before I get to that one for the road, you see the phone calls on the YouTube chat?
Yes.
It sounding horrible.
Uh-huh.
It's sounding horrible. Yeah, not as clear as the Facebook. It's not as clear as Facebook.
All right.
Right?
So let me see
but
why
I
that is
want
so.
to tell, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to tell Port of Spain. You see, if the DPP and the police were not PNM party groups, a lot of PNMites would have been before the court and in jail. Not because they're not in jail or before the court that they are innocent, right? Patrick Manning was before the courts for misbehavior in public office. Imagine that, a former prime minister, but the DPP, being the PNM party group number one, threw out the case because he said Manning was too sick to go to court, right? But he could have been seen campaigning with Randall Mitchell. Marlene McDonald was before the court for building an invisible community center. Malcolm Jones should have been before the court for misappropriating funds.
Go ahead, madam. Go ahead. He's blind to those facts. Yeah. He's blind to it. Go ahead. Go ahead.
In Petrotrin.
But it's not for him, it's for those who he believe are listening to him.
All of them.
Yeah, for those who he believe are listening to what you speak. Go ahead, ma'am. Go ahead. Tell him.
Yeah, and if the police were doing their duty, Rowley would have been in jail for those emails because that is seditious. He would have been in jail for the integrity, lying to the Integrity Commission, receiving a gift of close to $500,000, right? Camille Robinson Regis would have been in jail for abusing the state credit card and for hiding money in a handbag and lying to the bank about her source of income. Allegations against Foster coming with land grabbing and 14 million in venture capital. Allegations, but he would have been before the courts. Farah should have been in jail for witness tampering. Everybody know he paid Vincent Nelson 10 million to lie on Anand Ramlogan and Shara Ramdeen. And that's the only time the DPP was doing his job when he threw out the case. Right? Now, if there was a case, and as you love to talk about it, why they're still not there? Why did he throw it out? Farah should have been in jail with that car, what he did with the car. Limo should have been in jail for perjury. You hear? A lot of them. I don't ask Darrell Smith, the pum-pum grabber. Rowley, God in heaven knows why he threw out the case. He hired a committee to find out what went wrong, and he turned around and he cussed the committee. He lied about what Darrell tried to turn around the rules of the PSA once at the F3. He should have been jailed, and our tax money had to pay for sexual harassment. And it have more, Lennox.
Yes.
It have more. So if Port of Spain feel that because they're not before the courts, that they're innocent, he lied. Because as I said, as I started, if the police and the DPP were not PNM party groups, all of them would have been in jail. Lennox, thanks a lot again and have a good night.
Yes, indeed, man. Thank you for that. Very comprehensive, but of course inexhaustive, because there is more. There's more. I know that he's wondering, well, I'm sure he was wondering, well, oh God, well, more again. Well, Rowley said that some time ago, when they take a turn in the tail, so he's a coward, When they take a turn in the tail, so during the lead up to the 2015 elections and the matter of course, I spoke to her today, and I want to tell her tonight because she listens every night. Miss Vanilla Toppin, a heroine and a person dear to my heart. I want to tell her good night, and of course you did well by of course exposing Rowley for the first time, which of course on a matter that has no of course statute bar, and therefore it's just a matter of time before of course he pays for of course his raping of that school girl. Having to make a child at 17 years of age, he being, of course, a 21-year-old teacher at the time. Very exploitative, ugly, but of course, believe that he could use his office and his position to get nice, and entice nice people, but only based on infatuation as opposed to his natural, what I consider to be pulchritudinous non-blessings. Pulchritudinous meaning beauty, he has none. Pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor.
Let me tell you, let me show you a trick. You see when Paula spin on him call?
Yeah.
You just load down the volume on the phone wherever you take it on. Load down the volume on the phone. So nobody go hear he and you rest on that phone and let the internet run. But he go be able to hear you, so he go think you having a conversation with you. And you don't let you run.
But he's smart enough to of course watch it have his device on.
Yeah. Take the next call, so the callers and them go hear the next conversation. Because nobody want to hear. Just load down the volume on the set.
I hear you. I wouldn't want to do him that in perpetuity because
you don't do that now. You don't do that.
All right, thank you. I hear you. But you see, he has engendered, of course, a number of things, and I think it's important, of course, he is what I consider to be a case study of how you enter into, of course, the ignoramus of the PNM heads, claiming, of course, to be, of course, intellects, and they have the facts, and all of under normal circumstances would have been the right thing that they are saying. Unfortunately, it turns out to be naught at the end of the day. A pleasant good night. Welcome.
Well, a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
What is today on the UN calendar?
Today?
Yeah.
No, I am not familiar. Go ahead.
Well, everybody should know that. Today is World Disabilities Day, Lennox.
I hear you. Well, you would know that. You would pay attention to that.
Wait, Lennox. I ain't making no joke out of this, but this is a serious thing.
Okay, go ahead.
You have a minister called Donna Cox, right? She does not appreciate, nor does she care for any differently abled people in this country at all.
Okay.
Right?
Yes.
She sidelines the disabled people as being an eyesore. In fact, she could have worked under Hitler, right? To take care of disabled people back then when World War II was going on. Because you know what they was doing with them. She would have assist, right, if she was around that time. And not to mention the media, not a thing from them. They're talking about master all over the place. And nothing against to talk about the people or to talk about their plight or to talk about what they need or how to move forward with them to implement certain things at all. Nothing like that. And even the organization, which is being run by a fellow named Kerwin Thomas, he called in on the ground report the other day complaining. I ain't see he go and give no interview and call no media conference to talk about nothing. But I see him in a red jersey. I read PNM jersey the other day. So apparently he is toe line too. And this is what's going on in this country, People towing line up political parties and not towing line of the country. And they have their membership and the people suffering in this place. Same thing with the politicians. You put a man there, he only going to toe the line for the party, not the country. And the country falling apart. This is why we getting the results we getting here. All who jumping up for joy, who they put and all over the place. And reward and put this one. All this situation will not change. It will not change until they bring people into accountability in this country, and this is what we're suffering from, right? This whole country has been badly mismanaged, and yet you have the Minister of Finance coming on some seminar he had today, And this man is shame to say that Trinidad is an oil and gas based country, an energy country, and that is what we seeking to live off of. For the umpteenth amount of years, this PNM government was in power, and they could never diversify the economy away from oil and gas into other sectors. And they had the sectors, take for instance Guyana, they getting their money from the oil and gas. Well, technically the oil, they didn't start to pump gas yet. But the oil money going to different sectors, they're going to sports, they're going to tourism, they're going to manufacturing, they're going to agriculture. In fact, the Guyana president has been on record as saying he is going to supply the entire Caribbean with food in the future. Tell me, we have no vision here. That is why we perish. We had it, We had it when we get the oil and gas. But the PNM only put all the egg in one basket. And for donkey years, I've been hearing economists tell them they have to diversify. That word diversify, that is only a talk that come up probably now and then before the election come and be after it gone. And after that, you don't hear nothing again, Lennox. And this is why we're suffering now. The other sectors in the economy hasn't grown because they haven't seek to put any emphasis on it. And this is why we're suffering here today. We only are oil and gas based country. And when the oil and gas done, or it trickling down as the case may be, we will suffer now. So you see, this is what going on here in this country. Nothing at all. No accountability by this government or governments that come, and we need that. We need accountability. Anyway, else I will back because no mention was mentioned about the differently able people and their plight, and I find that's a travesty in a country like this, especially with Donna Cox, who I guess maybe trying out a wig right now, and they don't have no time for no people like this.
They are,
Have a good night.
They are concerned about themselves, ego, etc. Because on top there, just to brief, I told you that I'm in preparation, of course. Well, and not that I am committed or obligated at all, but it is of course not for the man, but of course for others to know, because of course he started by saying that of course George Street doesn't exist. Well, of course, let me just read a piece of the diploma, of course, from the Institute of Applied Science in the United States, and of course this is to certify that LENNOX Smith has completed the program of instructions in basic forensic science. Of course, it includes fingerprint police photography, firearms identification, principles of criminal investigation, of course, modus operandi, and a number of other things, including handwriting, detection, etc. This is a diploma that most police officers will love to have, and strive for as part of their training. And this is just that part. There's just one of the, of course, the master's degree in criminology, etc. But I want to also say, I am taking action, and I've taken action in response, of course, to Stuart Young and his pre-action protocol letter to me and Andy, and in it would have had my entire qualification that would have been presented before the court, and of course my matter against Rowley will also outline all of my qualifications, who I am, of course, including, of course, being, of course, a temporary senator. I wonder if he's saying that doesn't exist too, or you want to see that. I wonder. But of course, as I said, it's opportunities like these that, of course, whilst I wasn't focused on that and having to prove that, I thought it was important, of course, to share that. Eat your heart out, Mr. Port of Spain, but you see, you are irrelevant. You are Oshio, so you are an ass. And therefore, of course, I didn't have to go to all this length to show you that. And don't tell me that I manufactured it when, in fact, you know I asked for it, and it was part and parcel of my resume, and, of course, electronically reproduced at this point in time. So I want you to understand, and it's not for you, it is for, of course, those persons who would give you some kind of credibility. I want you to know that you have demonstrated a level of cognitive, intellectual, and cerebral decline, deterioration, an absolute dunderheadedness to be so stupid. You wouldn't ask Rowley for his qualification. You wouldn't ask Hines, but you're asking me. A fellow, you say he's a Lavantillian, a fellow Lavantillian. You're asking me because you believe something else that somebody say. You damn fool. I have no apology for you. None whatsoever. I presented myself as a witness in the 1990 coup. And the commissioners were asking me, Mr. Smith, based on your qualifications, what is your view of the situation with respect to the migrating out of South America, of the drug trail, passing through, of course, the Caribbean Sea, etc., towards North America and Europe. And when I told him that, of course, at this point in time, it appears that there's a bulge towards, of course, the Caribbean Sea coming out from Mexico. And then he said to me, marvelous, Mr. Smith, I am of a similar view. People wouldn't ask you that. You have no qualification whatsoever except, of course, to be a car attendant. And I am so humble. And my humility is almost boundaryless to respond to a backside like you. But of course, it has its benefits as well. Because you continue to be what? On the national stage in talk show and other places. A laughing stock. A laughing stock. Talk about issues. You cannot talk about issue at all. Always with some nonsense. I tell you to come on George Street, we need somebody to help us paint and so. No, you wouldn't do that. You wouldn't take up that challenge. So you have an opportunity to see what we are doing and what we are planning for the young people around. And you have the audacity. And the reason why I'm really, of course, upset is because he had the audacity one time on the ground report, I believe it was, to say because I said that Lavantil was shortchanged, both in terms of dealing with Desmas and dealing, of course, with the swimming pools that Rowley said was costing $10 million and they constructed for $5 million. And I said it's shortchanged because it couldn't be the same pool. He, like his dunderheaded cohorts, will say, well, listen, I hate Lavantil. I hate Lavantil people because I don't want nothing good for them. You're a damn fool. I said that they were shortchanged. Not that they shouldn't get a swimming pool, but that kind of what I consider to be volatile and explosive language for the ignoramus and those who are not paying attention. It's a good thing we have the response capability. A fellow will watch you down the road and say, look, that fella say that you don't like Lavantil people, etc. And then, of course, they want to deal with you physically. I know about that kind of reverse psychology or that kind of psychology, my friend. You are despicable. Because, in other words, you want somebody to kill me. And I had to respond to that. I have to. That's why I did what I did. I want you now to show me your qualifications. Yours. Before we go further. Yours. What are you qualified in? What? Being on the wharf and being a blasted thief next door to your neighbor? And putting somebody else as the fall guy? Including, understand, your wife? Come on. Get with the agenda. Get with the agenda. Get with the agenda. My friend, there you have it. From the American Institute of Applied Science. Only for you. But of course, for those who would see you as some kind of leader. My job is to disabuse that and to say that you are blasted no good. A big old man like you. Attempting, of course, to set up people to kill me. Tell me I don't know. I know. That's what that kind of talk is all about. Let me leave it up there for a little while. Whilst, of course, we will go back, of course, to what Rowley really is. A pleasant good night. Somebody, just a minute. Just hold on. Just a minute. Somebody's calling. All right, let me just. Oh boy, I'm getting a little issue here. So, two persons, Granny and her, and Granny and her. Let's see what's gonna happen. Granny, are you there? Your child get embarrassed, boy. You're immune to embarrassment or what? Where you seen it? You is a backside, boy. But God, boy, God from here, boy, God. You wicked boy. You're a wicked man. Here what to do? Call the best way to investigate this, you damn fool. Call the institute. It's easy. It is on the internet. Go on Google it. The Institute of Applied Science, and find out if Lennox Smith was a student there. That's all you have to do. You damn fool. You don't even know to do that. That's for your propaganda. Whole asses and them. Let me get on with the program, man. Yeah. Pleasant good night. Welcome.
Good night.
Good night, my dear.
I called to tell you.
Yes.
That man, that gentleman who called and want to talk about your papers or see your papers, he's a dance. He's a dance.
Don't tell it complete. I never see that. Now the CD certificate, he said, I sign it. Well, all right, if I sign it, call the American Institute of Applied Science. It is on the internet and so on. You get the number and find out if Lennox Smith is a or was a student there, and you will see since 1984 thereabout. I had that certificate. Oh, that diploma.
You have to show him that.
I know that. But it's not for him. It's for people. And those who believe they have he is their leader. So I want to show them that he is zero. He is nothing. And we must discredit him totally. Yeah.
You put him a Bible in front of a donkey.
A Bible in front of a donkey.
A Bible in front of a donkey by showing it there.
Yeah, okay, I hear you.
Yeah, man. He's a dance, he's a blockheaded. Granny says so, man. Granny old.
Thank you very much. All right, I will indulge again. I think I would leave it there because, I mean, I don't need to go further. He reminds me of the blockheaded student that.
Granny said it because
you have to go behind
doing something good for our country.
Yeah, behind the class.
And you looking for the betterment of the youth and the country.
Yes.
Blockheaded coming to talk.
Yes.
Why showing you that and like putting a Bible in front of a jail?
You did what? Why showing him what? You said what?
Putting a Bible in front of a jail.
Oh, I see. Right. Okay, I hear you.
A jail cannot read a Bible. A donkey cannot read a Bible.
Yes. Okay, I hear you.
So he's a blockheaded.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, all right. Granny didn't listen to other man. Granny love all your sorry.
Yes, thank you very much. I better get on with the programming through. And leave this blockheaded man alone. All right. Yes. Yeah, I think I've done enough to demonstrate to all and sundry. All right, thanks. Yes, indeed, of course, people. So, sorry I'm behind the scenes because you should see my face and how I am cringing with anger to know one person could be so despicably dotish. All right, so there we have it, people. I thought it was important, of course, to do that. Not for him, as I said, but for the audience to know that you have people like these who will, of course, no matter what you do, especially if they are P&M oriented, will try to discredit and discard. I heard Rowley saying that Kamala gave herself silk, for example. So that is no difference. But the fact is, I have done what nobody would have done. Let he eat his heart out now. And of course, those persons who are seeing this man as a leader, I want to tell you, collapse that thought. All right. let's go straight, of course, to what Rowley is, because I told you I would want to talk about this particular video. Let me just play it again for you.
Rowley must go! 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 Rowley must go!
Police brutality and the use of excessive force. Excessive force that was absolutely not necessary.
Yes, indeed, people. I listen to Rowley on this matter because it's important that you listen carefully, because what I'm going to say will, of course, either refute or concur. Either refute or concur. Listen.
Rowley must go! 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 Rowley must go!
But Senator Mark is calling on me to answer for the police. Members of the media, members of the national community, I want to make it abundantly clear. The Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago in this matter and similar matters and police work on a day-to-day basis is not a matter for the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. I have nothing to answer for. As a matter of fact, I wait to hear from the police the answers to a lot of what is being said and a lot of what they have to say about their own conduct. If they break the law, there is a way to deal with that. That's what the courts are there for. And when the court rules, if the government doesn't agree, there's the appeal court there for that.
Rowley must go! 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 Rowley must go!
Police brutality and the use of excessive force. Excessive force that was absolutely not necessary.
People, what was the circumstance that gave rise to that particular video? Well, let me tell you one time, because most of you would know and you would have been part of it. It was I think it was the second 9,000 persons that gathered around the savannah to, of course, attend during the COVID, should I say, regulatory period. 9,000 of us gathered around the savannah to, of course, express our deep concern that Rowley should demit office immediately, having regard to his poor performance, his hoodwinking and gaslighting, and inability to manage the affairs of the country, and of course the lies and unvarnished disposition that has no relationship to the truth or to the realities of Trinidad and Tobago. So that was pushback 2, actually. Pushback 2. Pushback 1, of course, I will show you at a later time, where, of course, some, I think, 32 persons were arrested. This was pushback. Pushback 1 had some 5,000 persons, and pushback 2 had some 9,000 persons, of course, and whilst the majority of them had dispersed according to the instructions of the police, about 200 of them remained, and, of course, claiming or asking Rowley to get out of office. Rowley must go, and the police, of course, discharged tear gas in their midst. I was over the road and I had to run for cover. Let's go. Let's go to the line before, of course, I continue. Pleasant good night. Welcome. Welcome. Good night.
Hello, good night once again.
Yeah,
Then after I end up falling asleep, I wake up and I hear you quarreling.
Yes.
Quarreling.
Yes.
But I kind of catch the sense, right?
Yes.
Anyhow, that video you're showing, it bring back memories.
Of course.
And I was saying that I get so vexed. I just get so vexed when I see that.
Yeah.
Because, no human rights lawyer never come out and talk and tell the people their rights. Right? They just run for all kind of things. For people all in Syria, we went to fight with ISIS and things.
Yeah.
Where they go and make 10 and 20 children and in refugee camp up to now. Yeah. They're rushing to see to get them out and to help visitors who come here. People will come here to spend a little time because the country in crisis, and they have to sign paper,
Yes.
where they was to stay a certain amount of time with a pass to get jobs. And when they commit their terrible crime, they still rush in to help them.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
I find they so should be talking out and telling the people their rights. Like how Roger talking there, they use a lot of force. Right?
Yeah,
But there was only
forces.
20, yes, it was only 20 of those riot police. Well, LENNOX player showing that the people wouldn't want to come out to protest.
No, there's a reason for it. There's a
scary.
reason for it. I'm not going to. It's not to intimidate or in any way sort of have people skeptical as to coming out. But at the end of the discussion, you will understand where I'm coming from.
Yeah, but still, I'm telling you, people in general, man, people here now, people are easy, you know.
Yeah.
I seeing that, I just get vexed. It brings back memories.
That's the idea.
You understand?
That's the idea for those who were there. Yeah.
Mr. Porter Spain now, he calling in how much time they. Listen now, up to now he apologized to me yet, you know. Yeah,
right,
he say I bring in false information.
Well, I'll ban him. I'll ban him now because I think I went too far to prove, but it wasn't for him. It was about, of course, those who still have some kind of following of him and the nonsense that he speaks to demonstrate to them once and for all that he's no leader, he is a misleader, and that he tried to set up people to kill me. And of course, in that case, I had to defend myself.
Well, the last call he make, I know where going, but I have a little idea is he get your vex and all of that.
Yeah.
I wake up and hear
telling me that I don't want the best thing for Laventille.
I just like to hear him. I
too, from the comic relief perspective, but once or twice to bring something that is serious, man, that you could defend.
I prefer hear than people like take the bull. And this next one we used to call from Arima and call himself Mr. Arima. Where him now? He disappeared. I ain't hearing him at all.
But like they leave this punishment guy alone because a fella you call it he gave himself sergeant or corporal or something like that. I don't hear him at all. The last time I had to give him a good dose of reality when of course he was spewing the talk about the country was running on fumes. By the time I finished with him, I see he stopped talking that the country was running on fumes. After, of course, a very, what I consider to be incisive and decisive explanation was given, and to show how stupid he was in terms of accepting that and spewing that because it's a concoction of Rowley and, of course, the Minister of Finance, Imsbert. Go ahead.
Right, okay.
Right, so that's it.
Just don't ban him. All
right, okay. I'm taking it from you. I would ban him.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Good night.
Yes, indeed. But when you are a nuisance, when you have no, because of course, why you say don't ban him? There are others who are saying they don't want to hear him at all. So I don't know how we could reconcile that. But we'll see how that moves. All right. The point I'm making here, people, is that of course that was pushed back too. And of course, some 9,000 persons, of course, visited that in a time of COVID. Of course, then of course we saw that the government would encourage the police to, of course, deal with us in the way that they did. And I am using it very, very specific because Dr. Rowley said that he don't take part, etc., etc. Oh boy, I'm trying to get there, man. I'm trying to get there. But go ahead, caller. You have the preference. Pleasant good night. Pleasant good night. Welcome. Yeah.
That man trying to derail your show, boy. He spent over half an hour on that, man.
No. But it was important for me. I don't normally do it, but I think it is despicable that he would try to set people up to kill me. That is what.
Yeah, but you know that, Leonard. But he trying to derail the show. You see, you had to spend.
No. I understand that, but the show will be tomorrow and the next day, and we will be there. So spending that 2 hours on that in that context, that is minuscule. That is infinitesimally small.
You know, play a clip there, right?
Yeah.
You know, play a clip there with the Prime Minister. Say you don't get involved in police business.
Yes.
So why he went and get a team of people that are going to shut down the DSS? This man is opening mouth and the LENNOX just come out of it, you know.
Yeah.
Real crap, you know.
The man is a real...
And he wouldn't say the reason why he shut down the DSS, you know. People were taking their money out of the banking institutions and other institutions, and he get a call from certain people and tell him hold that, because these people taking their money, go in there and they getting money off of that. And the banking institutions and other financial organizations didn't like it. They was losing money, in fact, because you saw the lines up in Tobago and Trinidad where these people were putting their money. That Ponzi scheme, yeah, where he was working.
That's right.
And the people were getting paid out. And he got a call, and the person said him to nip down the bud. He make up a sort of fake news and bring police from Scotland Yard or wherever and Barbados to come down here because he didn't find the Trinidad police. So this were competent enough to handle the investigation and shut down the people thing and seize the $20-something million or how much that the fella had in that. And then he never get it back.
My friend,
and up to now, people don't know the real reason.
Yeah, my friend, I was smiling because I was wearing and impatiently waiting to tell you go to the top of the class. That is a classic example of what Rowley is, but when it is convenient and the political stocks are against him, he then of course says that he washes his hand like Pontius Pilate.
Yes, he does like Pontius Pilate.
But he's the orchestrator. He is the choreographer. He is of course the pernicious mind behind all of these actions, and we're going to prove that tonight as well. So thank you very much, of course, for introducing my response to Dr. Rowley and his illusionary an attempt at deception by utilizing, of course, even poor and what I consider to be futile reverse psychology. Let's go straight. Of course, thank you very much for that intervention, my friend. You began the process. I want to leave you with the word today, logorrhea, Logorrhea. It is, it's something similar, maybe to having excess bleeding, etc. So it's logorrhea. We have a caller. No, wait. A pleasant good night.
Pleasant good night again, Mr. Lennox.
Yes, go ahead, my friend.
Mr. Lennox, the person who come to challenge your qualification again, that is Porter Spain?
Yeah.
Right. I want to know
not
if
that
Porter Spain...
It's not for the first time. On this occasion, his qualification. The next occasion was whether George Street existed. What the time before would have been, of course, why on Nelson Street that I oppose. There must be, and of course the shortchanging of Laventille and saying how I don't like Laventillians. And of course in Laventille, when you use statements like that in the right quarters, especially if you could prove it, a person could find himself at the wrong side of a gun or dead or found dead. And I thought that was despicable, and you ought not to engage in that kind of what I consider inflammatory language. Go ahead, my friend.
I just want to find out if the People's National Movement that Porter still loves so much, if they give him a proper job, because last time...
Yeah, they give him a proper job. Let me say that up front one time. He is I give it a nice name, a parking technician.
No, I'm not going to say I know him to be a man who's a
car park technician. Yes, I give him a nice name. Yes.
For the last something years,
yes.
And he loved paying them so much. He always boasting about them. But all I know he does do is park cars in car park. So he can show you how to park a car.
Yeah, down at the newest car park in the town.
Yes, I would like him to bring
demolished Salvatore building.
Mm-hmm. His qualification in parking cars.
Yeah, parking cars,
all
yes.
He does do. Yeah.
And he's shamed to show me. I willing to show him mine, but he's shamed to show me that.
All right, Mr.
I suppose that's because you don't need a certificate for that. So in that case, he might want to manufacture or make up his own, because he tried to tell me that the Institute of Applied Science diploma, I signed it. And I ain't seen a signature on the damn thing. Well, yeah, I think there's a signature, but it reminds. All right. Yes, the word logorrhea. Like diarrhea. You're getting, of course, get the impression that, you're dealing with filth and, of course, running your mouth, etc. Well, logorrhea is a term, let me just take it off the dictionary here so I don't want anybody to falter me. It means that is a pathologically excess, often incoherent talking. Let me repeat. Pathological meaning that you're sick. You are ailing. Pathology. So pathologically excessive meaning more than normal. Excess, you're talking irrelevance. Often incoherent, meaning that you're saying one thing and then saying something different, and then, of course, making no sense. Incoherent talking. So, logorrhea, Logorrhea. Let me give people time to, of course, get to their writing material, or you could probably write it on or type it on your device. Logorrhea, logorrhea. It means pathologically excessive, often incoherent talking, meaning that it is something like a madman just mumbling or talking gibberish. All right? So, that being as it may, I apply that to the present circumstance and Rowley's description or his claim that the Prime Minister does not involve himself. And of course, the last caller did in fact indicate that it is not so because of what he described as Dr. Rowley's intervention earlier. So I know I can pick up from there. But let us go to, of course, the Vincent Nelson matter. Rowley said at the same time, too, he doesn't get involved. He didn't know. The cabinet doesn't know. But, of course, he took steps to do what? To remove Al-Rari from the office of Attorney General. What does that suggest? That he knew. He knew. And more significantly, there was an agreement, an indemnity agreement that says to, of course, the then well-known attorney at Queen's Counsel, because he was saying that up and down the country, Rowley, I don't get me vexed before I play tonight. I'm going to do that tomorrow night, of course. But he was saying up and down the place, Rowley, that at Queen's Counsel, and he's helping them to put members of the Kamala Persad-Bissessa administration in jail. That is what Rowley was saying up and down before the news break. And I want to give commendation, of course, to the whistleblowers in this country who are clearly in position of no, because these documents cannot be manufactured, or should I say cannot be legalized if you didn't get involved, whether you are at the level of a clerk or the level of a PS or the level of a clerk, 1, 2, 3, 4, as the case may be. So I want to commend you, because it would have been you who would have alerted the opposition as to the true scheme that Rowley and they were engaged in. And what was it? The perversion fundamentally of the course of criminal justice and bearing false witness against a citizen of this country. It doesn't matter whether it's UNC connected or not. That is what that was all about. And Rowley's culpability, you cannot separate Rowley from knowing, simply because before that information was broken by the opposition, Rowley was up and down the country in various PNM fora saying that, of course, Kamala Persad-Bissessa trying, of course, to frustrate the whole process by saying public exposure, and they therefore interfere with the trial. He was saying all of that. But I think the creme de la creme, people, it is 24 minutes past 4, so I will end there, because there is more. I could talk about, of course, the Brent Thomas matter. Yes. But I will end with this one. Rowley was saying You remember Pamasa? I'm going to start with that tomorrow night. You remember Pamasa? The man was so bent on bearing false witness and perverting the course of criminal justice, and therefore, as head of the National Security Council, a man who said that he didn't know that his own colleague was not carded for arrest. He said that. But in other cases, too many to remember and express, he was saying that as head of the National Security Council, he knows. So therefore, as head of the National Security Council, he instituted an investigation on the police themselves. And of course, as the caller rightly said, when he was dissatisfied, of course, with the drug susu matter, he decided to get his own police service from Barbados and the United Kingdom. That miscreant, that evil son of a gun, and telling us that he didn't know and that he had no involvement in the execution of those tear gas canisters on the poor and unsuspecting citizens who were simply saying, you have to get the ass out of office. You're near the well, you're deceiver, and you're conspirators, progenitor for the purpose of treasonous conduct. Treason. Yes. In a mafia organization called the PNM. So let's not waste time. So he cannot respectfully and sincerely say that he wasn't aware. He wasn't aware what? My foot. So he was up and down the place talking about Pamasa. Oh, you know what is Pamasa? Pamasa was the guy who, of course, turned state witness. So he was saying that Nelson turned state witness. He was making that statement and making that comparison. How the hell, after the news broke that he didn't know and the cabinet didn't know? I say to the entire cabinet, you are guilty of conspiring to pervert the course of justice, whether directly, indirectly, or vicariously or otherwise. I say that to you, all of you, and therefore must be a subject of investigation when the new Kamala Prasad-Bissessa administration comes into office after the 2025 elections. Let us not waste time with these people. They must face the music. So I want to say, once again, Pamasa was the man who turned witness in the Abdul Malik murder in Arima. Christina Gardens, I believe is the name of the place, that gathered national attention and regional attention and hemispheric attention and world attention at the time. And we didn't have internet as we have it today. In fact, we didn't have internet at all. But here it is, Rowley was saying that he turned state witness, in order, of course, to put away the man who actually probably peeled the chops. Even though he might have been part of it, Pamasa might have been part of it, but because he turned state witness, he was given immunity from prosecution. Well, I want to tell you this. That the big difference between Pamasa and Vincent Nelson is $10 million. Let me repeat. The big difference between Pamasa and, of course, Vincent Nelson is $10 million that was dangled, that was, of course, given in exchange for his testimony in writing. Yes, people. The big difference is $10 million. The man was sick. Oh gosh, Rowley, all you wicked. I will exploit the man who felt at the time that he was suffering from cancer and wanted to go to the United Kingdom, and he wanted the money that he already worked for under the UNC, and therefore he was asking for it, and they put all kind of hurdles in his way, legal hurdles, because when he won the approval of the lower court, Rowley and they appeal it in order, of course, to frustrate the man so that he could die from, of course, his cancer from monies. Or put another way, depriving him of money that he already worked for. That is what these fellas did. $10 million. And therefore, of course, he said, well, look, if I was him, and that's the only way, I would do the same damn thing too to save my life and to get the $10 million. So he take the damn $10 million and he goes and, of course, he give them a statement to incriminate Anand Ramlogan and Ramdeen. That is what Rowley did. And Rowley had the audacity to say that he don't know. And why I'm saying this is because Pamasa wanted to save his life, his own life. There's no other inducement but saving his life. But in this particular case, the man gave a state witness in exchange for $10 million that was being frustrated in terms of Rowley and they not wanting to give him it unless, of course, he set up and, of course, created the condition for indicting and charging of Anand Ramlogan and Ramdeen. That is what Rowley did. That is what this despicable look said. That's what he said. That's what he did. And you're coming telling me, but in the case of the what? Of the pushback 2 and the tear gassing, that you had nothing to do with it. Hold your tail. Hold your tail. And I want to tell you finally, people, that in a criminal matter, no money could pass. So, in effect, it was a perversion of the course of criminal justice and all of the other issues, including, of course, the indemnity agreement that would have included, of course, the Mercy Committee pardoning Vincent Nelson, having, of course, committed what I consider to be career suicide by, of course, subjecting himself and saying that he's guilty of kickback money to Anand Ramlogan and Ramdeen. All of it has come to naught. All of it has come to naught. Understand what we are dealing with here and understand what your duty and responsibilities are as a person capable of voting by virtue of your ID cards. And I'm talking here about the young people who are already 18, whether last year, whether this year, and next year before the election. You have a duty and responsibility to save your country. Save your country, people. Save your country, young man. Save your country, young lady. And for the Laventon people, 5 years is not an eternity. That is a narrative of the PNM. And they will tell you, of course, you know what you have, but you know where you'll get. Well, if what you have you have is a bottomless, never to come back deterioration of your circumstance, then anything else as an alternative has to be better, because there is no coming back with the Rowley and the PNM. So therefore, you better understand that the next election is about saving you. And let me tell all you something. You do that, and you shift the paradigm away from the PNM, not only would they be relegated to the dustbin of political history, you will assist in doing that or making that happen, but all will be added on to Laventil what you never got before. Forget Marcel. Marcel has joined the wrong, what I consider to be criminal bandwagon. I'm not saying that he's a criminal, but you never could tell in future, because these people are influencers. So I want to tell you, whether Marcel, whether Leon's, waste of time. The UNC candidate must be the place to go, because it is in your interest. And the young people, I will be calling on some of you persons who would have graduated from, of course, the MRIO trade school over the years, over 6,000 of you. Rowley, Hines, anybody else in the PNM don't have that kind of track record. They can't think that far. You heard some of their representatives, well, at least one, a dying breed, of course. You heard him tonight. Has nothing to offer but vile and bile and recriminations against people who have accomplished and achieved. And because, of course, they themselves have nothing to offer, they believe they have nothing to lose and can say and do what the hell they want. Well, obviously, I have no difficulty because it is a democracy. But you must be discerning. You must be conscious. You must make your vote count. And you must say to the PNM and Rowley and they, you have betrayed us. And therefore, you must make your, whether it be humiliatory or otherwise, exit from the political consciousness and the political arena of Trinidad and Tobago. And let, of course, as Karl Marx will say, history is about one group overtaking or supplanting another because the previous have become irrelevant. Well, the PNM and Rowley have become irrelevant to Trinidad and Tobago. Have a wonderful rest of the night. God bless. And see you, of course, but let me just play one more time before, of course, we go. Don't forget, of course, the word, operating word tonight, logorrhea. Logorrhea. Let me repeat. Logorrhea. It means, of course, being pathologically excessive, often incoherent talking, and that is Rowley. Because I could talk about Tobago and what he has sent, of course, police into Tobago to investigate the leadership there because the PNM is out of government there. Understand that? What the hell he don't know? You're telling me that he don't know, he didn't know about Nelson, Vincent Nelson. He don't know about what transpired in Tobago too. And he had the audacity, of course, to respond to Fali when, of course, he used the cover of the House of Assembly in Tobago in order, of course, to respond to the venom that is Rowley. And Rowley, in turn, of course, used the platform of Prime Minister and, of course, the resources that was given to him by you and I, the taxpayers, to, of course, respond to Fali and of course, threaten him with a lawsuit until he realized that he, Fali, too, had, of course, parliamentary privilege. And therefore, you can't sue him. So he quickly reverted to, of course, the so-called whistleblower that gave, of course, Fali, according to Fali, the information. And after that, it was an investigation from Trinidad, after investigation from Trinidad. And Rowley don't know. Logorrhea he talking. A pathologically excessive individual with often incoherent talking. That is what that is all about. It's sundown. So that's the term. Pathologically excessive and often incoherent talking. And that is what Rowley is. Conclusion? Yes, the gods have, of course, firmly possessed Rowley. And who the gods wish to destroy, they do what? They first set them mad, and he has gone mad. Have a wonderful rest of the night. God bless. And of course, we'll see tomorrow morning. Let me just quickly, of course, tell you, give you what Rowley, the part Rowley played tonight in this particular program. And Rowley must go! Rowley must go! Rowley must go! Rowley must go! Rowley must go!
Police brutality and the use of excessive force. Excessive force that was absolutely not necessary.
Yes, indeed, people. And he claiming what? Let me hear you, Rowley. Express your logorrhea. Let me hear his logorrhea. Come on, Rowley. Let me hear your logorrhea.
Rowley must go! 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 Rowley must go!
But Senator Mark,
yes,
is calling on me to answer for the police. Members of the media, members of the national community, I want to make it abundantly clear. The Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago in this matter and similar matters and police work on a day-to-day basis is not a matter for the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. I have nothing to answer for. As a matter of fact, I wait to hear from the police the answers to a lot of what is being said and a lot of what they have to say about their own conduct. If they break the law, there is a way to deal with that. That's what the courts are there for. And when the court rules, if the government doesn't agree, there's the appeal court there for that.
Rolling must go! 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 Rolling must go!
Police brutality and the use of excessive force. Excessive force that was absolutely not necessary.
Yes, indeed.
You're in the mix with DJ John Jack. DJ John Jack. Team Magnum.
Of course, we have come to the end of tonight's program. Of course, don't forget tomorrow morning, Andy, Michael, and myself on the ground report as we continue, of course, to deal with these and other issues. Remember, of course, from 6 to 8, we are on social media, Facebook and YouTube, on various platforms, including, of course, the Corridor Transformation, as well as, of course, the Real Media TT. But from, of course, 8 to 10 o'clock, we are then, of course, on Gael, the Caribbean, where, of course, we engage our Caribbean brothers and sisters. Have a wonderful rest of the night. God bless. Until tomorrow night. Bye-bye.
Eat something before you go. Eat something before you go. To give me family a parang, they wake up my mommy right away. When they ring out with this love way, my Jeffrey, oh, get up. Hey, like you are here, the neighbor cock crowing, no girl. Madam Jeffrey, oh, get up. Time to put on smoke in your kitchen, no girl. Madam Jeffrey, oh, wake up.
And businessmen could win. They say that Christ been born on Christmas Day. They say that is a pagan holiday. I say no way. 'Cause when I see the love in the land, boy, it's Christmas again. All man Jack stretching their hand, boy, it's Christmas again. It's the only time of the year, boy, it's Christmas again. The rich that show the board of their care, boy, it's Christmas again. Children that be happy, eating things they never see. Christmas that unite all family, boy, it's Christmas again. Sing it with me, boy, it's Christmas again. Come on, let it sing, boy, it's Christmas again. Give it.
I take some time off from me work to help me wife clean up. Me paintbrush I can't find it. The neighbor don't have it. Immediately I went down by she told I want me paintbrush please. I want me brush, give me brush. I want me brush, give me brush. I want to paint the living room.
Rolling must go! 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 Rolling must go!
Police brutality and the use of excessive force. Excessive force that was absolutely not necessary.
Rolling must go! Rolling must
Senator Mark is calling on me to answer for the police. Members of the media, members of the national community, I want to make it abundantly clear. The Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago in this matter and similar matters and police work on a day-to-day basis is not a matter for the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. I have nothing to answer for. As a matter of fact, I wait to hear from the police the answers to a lot of what is being said and a lot of what they have to say about their own conduct. If they break the law, there is a way to deal with that. That's what the courts are there for. And when the court rules, if the government doesn't agree, there's the appeal court there for that.